I don't know, Grace.
Oh, come on, Adam.
I can't.
It's easy.
I've never ridden one.
It's quick.
I've never ridden anything. Ever.
It's fun.
I don't even drive.
Honda scooters. They're everything but ordinary.
It's sexy.
I'll take it.
I'll take you.
How's it going, everybody? Aaron with Siegfried's Motorwerx. Here today, we're going to be taking on a test ride of this Honda Elite 80cc. This is a 1985, so by all terms of technicality, this is a classic. Couple of quick things on these Elites before I take you out. You have a nice storage area up front here. Not necessarily something you can put any kind of food or anything in, but keep your papers, a couple tools, registrations, little stuff, wallet, etc. in. Under the seat, you have your fuel tank and then also your battery. That's why this one has this ginormous basket on it. That way you are able to put some additional things as far as hauling, and the owner of this one, who is my father, did add a nice cup holder to it. So operating these things is fairly easy. Turn the key, hit the brake, and you're good to go. Admittedly, before we start this journey together and get too far into it, the Honda Elite, especially the 80cc's, are not necessarily my favorite scooters in the world. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but they are a pretty noisy scooter. They have a pretty noisy CVT. This one, admittedly, we did probably make the noise a little bit worse than it was, just because this one did have, it was still the grease packed roller weight system, and we did switch that over. We did switch that over to dry weight, so we probably made the noise a little bit worse than it was, but I just don't like grease packed CVTs. So anyways, as we go out the driveway here, a couple of little facts about this one. These were made from 1985 until 2007, and the design changes that they did do are nothing that anybody would notice. Outside of knowing the colors and the different little features that they changed, you would have no idea the difference between an 85 and a 2007 Elite 80cc by Honda. As we go through the model changes, I will go over some of the key factors and what they changed on these scooters here once I get around this light. A couple of key factors. Up from 85 to 89, these things were produced in Japan and then imported. Starting in 89, they began manufacturing these in Mexico, so importing them was a little bit easier. In 2001, they did switch these from a sealed beam headlight housing into a one you can actually interchange a bulb. That's a pretty good feature. Makes it a lot easier to switch out or even upgrade your lighting. These things have a 29.7 inch seat height. They weigh 172 pounds, which is pretty light, makes them pretty easy to ride as well. They have a 1.3 gallon fuel tank, and they get a claimed 75 to 80 miles per hour. When it comes to the horsepower, this thing makes an earth-moving 5.9 horsepower, and it makes a dyno-braking 4 foot-pound of torque. So this thing really is a powerhouse. Basically, why this thing is an 80cc is because Honda made this to compete with the two-stroke 50cc scooters. Essentially, you're going to get the same top speed and similar, not quite as quick, but you are going to get similar acceleration to a two-stroke 50cc scooter like the Yamaha Zuma, or even a bone stock Honda Dio or Honda Aero. But it was just a quieter version of that, and it was the elite class, meaning that these were supposed to be for your work commuters and people that didn't want to pull into work and be making all kinds of racket. So that's why they did make this. So it's not necessarily an 80cc as an upgrade, even though it is 30 cc's higher than your entry-level 50s. Being an 80cc, it's still putting out basically 50cc power as far as that goes. A couple of things about the Honda Elite 80s. There is not a lot of aftermarket support available for these at all. Realistically, it's basically nothing. A lot of it is all fit and figure, and if you can find somebody that's done it before you and copy what they did, kinds of stuff. There were a couple companies that were making stuff, but nothing today yet anymore, and you know, the stuff that was made is basically impossible to find. As far as just the operation of this scooter, it is a pretty nice riding scooter, but it's extremely bouncy. I mean, it just bounces down the road. So that's my one complaint. Also too, it does have extremely skinny tires, so this is a really nimble ride, almost too nimble sometimes it feels like, though. Other than that, control wise, everything's the same. High beam, low beam is on a toggle style switch as opposed to a press switch like this. Your turn signals are conventional. Cute little horn, on off switch, and then a starter button as well. Left lever is your rear brake, right lever is your front brake on this. And I know I started the video off by saying I don't really like these things, and just to kind of condense and finish out on that statement, where I don't like them is just because there's not a lot of aftermarket support available for it. And at the end of the day, even though I know why it's an 80cc scooter, I still wish it performed better than a 50. If you're going to go through the process of having to have a motorcycle permit or a motorcycle license, I feel as though you should be able to be rewarded for that and get something a little more powerful than this. At the end of the day, there's a lot of really good 50cc offerings on the market, and especially nowadays, that you would have a lot more fun on. It's a lot quicker, and especially too, if you do want to modify them, they're a lot more acceptable to modification than this 80cc Honda Elite. I know in the beginning of the video too, I did talk about the fact that this is not a grease pack CVT. When I say a grease pack CVT, what I'm talking about with that is the fact that the variator specifically is a sealed unit on this, and it comes greased. Now, we did switch that to a drive roller weight system, and it just seems like the scooter drives a lot nicer since we've done that. It is a little bit noisier, but I'd rather have a little more performance than noise anyway. As far as working on these things, there's a couple of common factors. If you are in the market for a Honda Elite, there are a couple of things that you should be looking for that we've seen fail on these over in our service department. One thing that does typically fail is the auto choke system. That's a very common thing that goes out. And then also too, these things chew up fuel pumps a little bit more rapidly than other scooters on the market. Not a huge deal, nothing that can't be fixed. It's just one of those things that you do have to take in mind and deal with. And again, as we were talking about things I don't like, again, the storage. I mean, most of your scooters nowadays, you do have an abundance of storage, almost more storage than you would even possibly need. Where like with this one, without the addition of a basket on the back or some kind of top case system in the back, you're really not going to be able to get a lot of storage on this thing. As far as if you're looking for a good scooter to buy, these Honda Elite 80s are a really nice scooter. They are typically fairly reliable scooters, and they're kind of unknown. I mean, unless you have a buddy that has one or you're kind of looking for scooters, most of the time you aren't just going to see them pop up. So you can find these things for a really good deal. Typically you can find these things in between $800 and $1,500 in really nice condition with good miles on them as well. And for the years, I mean, you got to figure, even though there were 07 models available, it's still a 1985 scooter. Now, while it was advanced for 1985, like having this nice fuel gauge, having an engine oil meter on it, and those things, you're still dealing with 1985 technology just on a newer scooter. Just on a 1985 scooter. So that's kind of one thing you do have to bear in mind. If you are looking at the newer ones, you're basically dealing again with 1985 technology. Even the CDI boxes, the regulator rectifiers, and the magnetos are going to be 1985 technology as well. So it's not bad stuff, but it's not going to be as new, like an 07 Elite 80 versus an 07 Yamaha Zuma. The Zuma is going to be a lot more advanced than that, and it's good and it's bad. A lot of it's good just because there are tons of parts available for these, lots on the used side of things as far as OEM replacement style stuff, not necessarily aftermarket. But a lot of people that are looking for a scooter like this, they're not looking to modify it and make it all kinds of crazy. They're basically just looking for a conventional hop on, turn the key, A to B type of scooter. We are going to take a quick pause here as I've pulled into my destination. If you're watching this video and you're in central Pennsylvania, Lebanon County, anywhere, Reading, Berks County, keep a lookout for Battery Warehouse. Great people, great prices. They've always treated me really well. So anyways, I do have to run in here quick and grab a battery, but we'll be right back with you guys. All right. Just picked up my battery for a Honda Rebel. Battery for a Honda Rebel. Battery for a customer who bought a Chinese dirt bike that we're putting together for him, and then some battery tenders. Again, Battery Warehouse. If you're in Lebanon County or in anywhere in central Pennsylvania, but specifically the ones I deal with is Battery Warehouse in Lebanon, and then also Battery Warehouse in Berks County. Great place. Keep them in mind for all your battery needs. Little selfish plug there. I don't make any money off of that, but the guys here are great, so I'd love to give them any support I can. Oh. Alright, as we're back on the happy trail here. So, I mean, again, if you're looking for a nice, cheap, economical to ride, easy to ride, fun to ride, commuter, or even just a scooter, the Honda Elite 80 is great, outside of the fact that you will have to keep in mind most of your states are going to require a motorcycle license on these. There's some states that require a motorcycle over a certain speed, and you might be able to sneak these through as a non-motorcycle endorsement. You might be able to sneak these through on the non-motorcycle endorsement side there, but for most of your states you will be required to at least have a motorcycle permit to legally operate this thing on the road. But anyways, let's get into some of the fun stuff on this Honda Elite. Comfort wise, hands down, these are definitely one of the most comfortable smaller chassis scooters available. And when I say smaller chassis, again, I'm basically calling this, and I'm basically putting this scooter in the 50cc class, even though it is an 80cc. Footboard wise, you have a lot of options for your feet. A nice big open floorboard there, if you can see it. And the great thing with the Elite 80 chassis is you do have this ability to put your feet all the way up there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you're cruising, man, you can get your feet up all the way up there. You can even put your feet there. A lot of options there. Another cool thing with the Honda Elite 80, and I guess this is one thing where the 80cc motor is a little bit better than a 50, is the fact that you can ride 2 up on this scooter. It does have a passenger seat, and it's a nice flat passenger seat. And there's another advantage to having that nice flat passenger seat, and that's the fact that you are able to very easily just slide all the way back like that and give yourself plenty of room. As far as the passengers' foot options go, these do just have a simple little flip wing. I don't know if you can see it there, but they do have these simple little flip wing pegs for the back passenger, so not a ton of options for them, but at the end of the day they probably aren't the one paying for it, so they get to deal with whatever you have. But as far as the seat goes on these, typically one of the biggest complaints that I have with the 50cc's and these smaller chassis scooters is the fact that the rider, there's typically a little bit of a bump built in to keep the rider and the passenger separated and to lift the back passenger up. This Elite doesn't have that. It's a completely flat seat, almost like a skateboard style seat. So it gives you a lot of options, especially for taller riders. These Elites are going to be way more comfortable than your average 50cc scooter, and especially in the legroom department. If you have any kind of long leg, you're going to be a lot more comfortable on this than you would on basically any other 50cc scooter on the market. So that's another plus of the Elite. And again, I know I keep saying this 80cc, but technically a 50cc deal here. And this is another situation where that 80cc motor does shine, especially if you're dealing versus a 4-stroke 50. I would hands down take an Elite 80cc over a 4-stroke 50cc scooter. If you're dealing on a 2-stroke scooter 50cc, I'd probably take the 2-stroke 50 over the Elite 80. But on a 4-stroke 50 versus 4-stroke 80, the 80cc is 10 times better than the 4-stroke. 4-strokes are extremely lackluster. So if you like the convenience of 4-stroke and the quietness of a 4-stroke, and you like the lack of 2-stroke smell and smoke, then I would definitely take into consideration an Elite 80 over even a brand new Zuma 50, a brand new Ruckus, Honda Ruckus, or a brand new Honda Metropolitan. You'll just be a lot happier with the amount of power and then also the acceleration. And not only that, but when you do get to the situation where you would have a small hill to climb, or where you want to ride 2 up on it, this scooter is going to really shine in those situations over your conventional 4-stroke 50cc scooter. I mean, that as far as that, we are going downhill here. We are going downhill right now, so it is going to have a little bit more acceleration than not. But I mean, this thing just cooks down the road, and I mean, I'm in Pennsylvania. I mean, that was a pretty tough one. I'm in Pennsylvania. I mean, this thing it takes bumps for the most part. I mean, potholes are potholes, but it takes the bumps pretty nice. That's where that softer suspension is pretty nice to have. So as we climb up here, I mean, this is another situation where if this was a brand new 2019, because they don't make them in 2020, but if this was a 2019 Yamaha Zuma 50, you would never see that needle climb up that hill. If anything, you would see it hold or drop. And very often, unless it's a very slight incline, like this one specifically, you would see that Zuma hold and then begin to drop if that incline was any bit longer there. And you're just not going to see that out of the Elite. The Elite's going to be able to have a lot more, pep in its step to get you where you need to go. As far as the handling of these Elite 80s, again, I know I said in the video, and I actually think I said it when I was going back that way, but they are extremely nimble scooters. So, not necessarily, they are extremely nimble scooters. So as we come up here, there is a nice little S-turn here, and I'll show you the ease of it. It's definitely not as cumbersome as the 10-inch rim scooters that have a fatter tire. Those scooters are a little bit lazier through the turns, and you don't necessarily feel as quick to turn, but I mean, this thing just coasts around the turn, no problem. It just wants to lean, which is kind of nice, but it's also kind of dangerous too for new riders. You almost have to watch that. But anyone who has any kind of experience on a motorcycle, or any kind of experience on a motorcycle, or any kind of experience on scooters, you're going to find this thing is really fun to ride, especially on back roads or, tight turns, anywhere you're doing that, especially in parking lots. That's one thing where this Elite, having such a small, nimble style riding to it, is really going to shine, is in those real tight corners. It's not a real cumbersome scooter to get through parking lots, and then also too, as far as moving it in and throughout and wherever you have to go. But at any rate, as we pull in here again, we will say our farewells. If you made it this far with me on this ride, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate the people that leave comments and watch these videos and take the information, in my opinion, for what it's worth. But as always, if you can, if you hit that like button, it goes a long way for us. Hit the subscribe button. Stay up to date with everything going on here at Siegfried's Motorwerx. We try and do test rides on every power sport we sell, and then different ones that we do get in for, you know, miscellaneous things from time to time. We also do product reviews, and we also do walk-arounds, full, honest walk-arounds on all of the units that we do sell. And then in addition to that, you know, just power sport related fun stuff. So at any rate, again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day.